tables in tables in tables in tables, flash sites, good times. And I took up project management as applications grew more and more complex, and acquired functional analysis and business analysis skills along the way. So, and although you never really let go of the aesthetics of applications, priorities tended to shift a little bit. And it was in 2010 that something snapped. And it was because of something that appeared in the functional analysis that we wrote back then, and I'm going to read it out loud. It was near the section of the boundary classes, and there it said, the description of the user interface should be interpreted as a sketch of the different elements that can occur on screen within its context. It is not intended to be an exact specification for the UI, color, or typography. So we had these methodologies for project management, functional analysis, doing business analysis, but nothing that covered the interaction-related aspects. And in 2010, well, I discovered user experience design, and it felt a little bit like coming home.
So hi, I'm Evelyne. I was, as a kid, a huge Lego and Lego Technics fan. So it came as not really a surprise that I went on and studied engineering and architecture. I was always fascinated by how things work technically, and also on the other side, how you could create a completely functional house or a building that suited everyone's needs and made people move to them and live that. It was by analysis that you would really get to know the people and the surroundings before you design. Does that sound familiar in any way? So leaning more on the engineering part of my degree, I got a job as a software developer in Realdolmen, the same company as Hendrik. So it's a consultancy firm, and my first assignment was to add features to an application that was built 10 years before. It also looked like it. Lovingly, I called it our dinosaur, and I tried my best to add new features that had to fit the style and be consistent there. But one morning at the coffee machine, I had a conversation with an actual user, like an actual person who used this application every day. 8 hours a day. So it was at that moment that the distance between my developer job and reality closed immediately. I started pushing back on the user stories to the project manager. I became that annoying person. And I wanted to make an impact on the life of that employee and others, of course. And it's only at that moment that I learned about UX. It was a colleague of mine that says like, oh, what you want to be doing is UX. And I was like, well, what are those letters? So I got a chance to learn more about it through shadowing Hendrik for a few years. And also for me, UX felt like coming home. It was for me like creating homes in the digital world, where the next saying also translates well, a house is not a home.
So, who went to Smashing Conf 2 weeks ago? All right. Did you see the talk by Stephanie Walter about enterprise UX?
It was great, wasn't it? Yeah. A lot of what she said resonated for us as well. Any other person here working in enterprise UX?
Yes, we're going to talk later. Okay. So, for those who didn't attend the talk, we have a small summary of what we would call our battles in enterprise UX, and what makes enterprise UX maybe a little bit unique. Well, first thing is that it's for people at work. It's a little bit a different role. They're professionals at work, and they work for, between brackets, large organizations, and the main difference is they are required to use this application. There is no choice. They will have to use this application in order to work where they are. That together with the these applications that harbor a complex UI and, well, are being accessed within B2B environments. So would contain lots of tables in tabular data, dashboards with lots of metrics and stuff. Yeah,
We saw that the main focus for the other clients are on the features to fit those complex business processes. Users are mostly neglected in the UX way. We hear this application is not going to the outside world, it doesn't have to look pretty, don't put too much effort in it, instead of thinking about the well-being of the employees and also their improved productivity in UX-friendly applications. Right now we feel that we have to push back on the fact where they want to benefit the organization with the new software rather than the user.
So, what we feel that benefits when you're doing enterprise UX is that you try to gain knowledge about a particular sector. And that's something that you can use throughout different projects and you can take with you throughout different projects. But you would first have to learn some of the core of the sector, and you have actually limited time to do so. So the other thing that we still often see is that these applications or the way they work with within their business processes and try to achieve certain things is by using paper. So those complex processes are maybe the first time that they are translated to a digital environment.
But in the last few years, we've become beginners in some very nice industries. Like we know a lot about ventilation right now, or about how to build a pipe drainage system and all those stuff. So if you need any help about that,
yes,
we're here as well.
Transportation, oil refinery.
Radioactive waste.
Yes, radioactive waste, we get to that later.
Another difference is that the users are actually employees. The workshops can be very different because it's not very random people that you put together, but they are colleagues. They know each other and it can create kind of a different atmosphere. Sometimes there's an hierarchy in place that you can really feel, and you have to keep that in mind. So sometimes it is very important to also do those one-on-one conversations or to have those informal moments with some people. Yeah.
Another thing is that it's hard to find or hard to access reference projects. So because you're focusing on a specific part of an organization or an application within an organization that only exists there. So there is very little material available in the market to just have a look at how people work in different locations doing the same processes.
The timelines vary a lot. It's not a project that starts now and has to be finished in a fixed time frame because it's for our own use. So lots of the time we're working at projects that have been running for years and things are added slowly. The budget keeps getting in the way of that, and you have to kind of run at the same pace as them.
Yeah. So, and then a different thing is that because of the complexity of the task that they're trying to achieve, that a learning curve may be acceptable for most of the application that we encounter in the outside world or that we tend to use on our mobile phones or on our computers. This learning curve is rather flat, and well, in enterprise UX, these learning curves are related to the complexity of the task.
Context can make a huge impact. Like I said, hospitals, drainage systems, ventilation, those are all very, very diverse contexts, which we will get back on.
Yes, two more slides. So, and then the last thing we want to say about this is that there's a whole new layer of devices that that you may encounter. So those may be these RUG devices, just because the environment that your end users will be working in is completely different than the environments that we know and that where we work at the office or outside where we work. So we have these, like I said, RUG devices, but there's also something like ATEX, and ATEX stands for, it doesn't stand for, it's the equipment for potentially explosive atmospheres. It's a little bit, so you have to, well, it's, the thing is that those devices, they evolve at a different pace. So, and that's actually a little bit downside. You will, well, those devices are pretty expensive, and their lifespan is a little bit more than we are used to when working with digital, devices. They might have older frameworks that they are still working. They have limited functionality. So those are all things that should be taken into account, or you might encounter doing enterprise UX.
It's like the International Space Station that is still on Windows XP.
It is. All right.
So it takes a village to build a project. There are a lot of different people involved. There's an infinite amount of roles in the IT landscape. Titles and content can differ from project to project, from company to company. To stand out now, someday, some companies are recruiting with fancy titles like the mystical full-stack magician, the cybersecurity ninja, or the UI UX unicorn. I think you've heard of them, right? It can be a confusing landscape, but it helps to know where you are on this line and to get to know your neighbors really well. So being in this diverse public, I just want to ask you, like, what was your current or your past roles? Any project manager or proxy project
POs?
managers that...
Project managers? No project manager?
By a raise of hands, how many you have?
All right. Yeah. Analysts, like functional analysts? I feel your pain. Business analysts? Sorry, I'm curious. No business analysts? All right. So, the thing is that from I evolved from the left side of the spectrum. Although I started maybe somewhere in web development, I evolved actually most during my career from the left side of the spectrum, and I've taken up all these different roles, and I felt the worries of functional analysts or project managers when getting the right information, understanding and getting at in a timely manner business requirements, all those things. So yeah, that's me evolving to where I'm today, and I'm a UX consultant.
On the all other part of that line, creeping up from the right, I've experienced the frustration of database migrations, developing backends that fits the analysis, and the front-end wireframes that just were thrown over the wall. I've worked as a full stack developer for 5 years. I worked in well-oiled agile teams and drowned in pure waterfall chaos. But this gave me a lot of experience in how information is handed over from the left side, thrown over the wall, and taught me the importance of good communication between the different roles and their expectations. Having moved through the different roles, we gained some hard skills and a lot of soft skills. But most importantly, we got to know the different profiles very well. This gives us a big advantage, as they are also the users of our documentation and our wireframes. We met in the middle of this line. It's a nice UX consultant's bulb, but it didn't stop there. Like Hendrik, for example, loves to throw himself and me into HTML and CSS wireframes.
Whereas Evelyne, she dabbled a bit in functional analysis on some projects, and because of this overlap, we got like a situation where we got all bases covered. And the thing is, in the projects that we do, we would like to get involved as UX consultants as early as possible. Because in the roles at the left, that's where the upstream part happens first and starts and happens first before the development team is in the picture. And we've seen the benefits for this throughout the entire team who is involved in the project. And that actually happens particularly well when UX is taken into account from the very beginning. When we can start the first conversation with our client by doing these UX workshops, when we fully understand the scope of a project, and not just get involved later on when the development team is already in their maybe second or third sprint, and then having to work things along. So Yeah.
All right. Last little point that we wanted to talk about is we honestly don't believe in unicorns. What I mean by that is right now they're looking for full stack developers, full stack UI, UX consultants. They're looking for people who can cover all those bases in one person. For enterprise UX, you need specializations, a lot of them. Also in UX themselves, there are a lot of different fields, a lot of different titles and roles. Working in tandem can fix that a little bit because we both have our own fields of expertise and we try to focus each on a different part where we can go a little bit deeper than otherwise you could as a team of one.
Yeah.
So this is our nice context slide. Doing enterprise UX got us into places where we otherwise never would be able to get to. So get ready for some selfies.
Yes. So most of the time, enterprise UX happens in restricted areas and factories, and you're not really allowed to take any pictures. So when that happens, take the candy and run. This is actually something that that happened at the client. They didn't hand us the candy. We took it, and then.
Well, we weren't allowed to take the nice fancy robots that were autonomically driving through the factory. But okay, so why is context this important? It's because we all usually work behind desk, but it seems that not everyone does. It would be presumptuous to assume that we fully understand them under what circumstances that they work. We really have to do thorough context analysis because for them, it's so evident. And if you ask them straight away, they might not even think about sharing really how they work. Sometimes you can't imagine how people are doing their work.
So this is at an oil refinery, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Well, they said I could take the image. Someone could take the image. I'm pretty sure now that I'm not allowed to show it here. All right. So here it had something to do with inspection tools. So it was someone who was going to do some kind of inspection, and it was in a somewhat hostile environment.
Well, it's in a low resolution. It's fine.
Yes, I suppose so. So this is at a factory in Ghent, and again we were not allowed to take any pictures. This is at the end of a workshop there. We had a ton of requirements, and we did the first. It's actually at the end of the first workshop there.
Super fun. They are a research center for the application of steel. So every bridge that collapses or every new material that they're making, they're heavily testing it there and trying to break it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is me at a train. At a railway wagon import location where they. It's a factory where they transport liquid gas. So I'm just going to tell you the short story that happened there and where it could easily go wrong, or could have gone wrong. Yeah? So the thing was, they asked us to do an UX study actually for an application that they were building for inspecting railway wagons. And these railway wagons would come in as a train, and every wagon would need to be inspected on for different parts or things that could have been changed along the way. And during the workshop that we had there were different people present, and there was also someone present from management. And people explained how that they worked, is how they would conduct their investigation. And they said, well, we go to the first wagon of the train, and then we do the inspection, we walk around, and then we go to the next wagon. And so after several of these carriages, there would be then at the end, and then the inspection would be finished. So I said, yeah, sounds great. And then we asked if we could go have a look and follow someone and just see how this would work in real life, because there were several other hazardous conditions. This is one where you would get some ATEX device, I would guess. And the first thing that we saw was that once we get at the front of the train, they would start, or this person would start doing the investigation and checking several things. And he did the left side and then moved immediately to the next carriage and did there the left side, and then the next, and the left side, left side, left side. And at the end, returned and did right side, right side, right side, back until the front. So, well, I don't have to draw a picture here. You could see that this would have a serious impact if we would not have supported this way of working in the application. So this is purely context, and if you get the opportunity to go and have a look where people work, then that's a big benefit. Whereas I just want to say that even it may be obvious for the people who do this job, it may be so obvious that they fail to tell you about it. All right. We have some more. This is for some
inspections for health and safety on the work floor, where they work with very antique antique machinery. It is a repair shop for buses and trucks.
Yeah. So, and this is the lady who did it, and she worked on paper. It was a paper process. It was.
Well, no, she got it in her application. She had to print it out, then she had to write on it, and then she had to copy everything.
Yeah. So it's the paper process is still very much available in enterprise UX. Then there's this one. I don't know if you can see. This is at a pharmaceutical company. We had to put on these throwaway jumpsuits, and I have a lovely story here, but that's for later on. And we had to walk a little bit like this, just to prevent friction, because friction would release particles into the air, and then an alarm would go off. So these are working environments. Okay. What else do we have? All right, that's at paper production facility where there was a lot of noise, and this is which one appeared? All right. Oh no, too soon. Here we go. That's Evelyne.
Yeah, this was a really nice one. This is a company that is specialized in the removal of radioactive waste, which I talked about. It's a heavily restricted area, although as a kid I went there, but apparently times have changed.
So no taking pictures?
No taking pictures. We did a whole workshop, and we had to ask nicely and ask again, and then beg a little bit. And at the end we were allowed to do a tiny tour to follow two technicians who had to do maintenance on those big machines and those big towers and the cellars where they keep all the radioactive waste. So we did a whole workshop. We asked them, how do you work and how do you do? Yeah, we're always working with two technicians at the same time, and then we followed them, and we saw that one person had to go inside of the machine, the other one standing outside, but the person inside had a whole hazmat suit, a whole helmet, which he failed to mention. There wasn't allowed any electronics inside, so they kind of yelled at each other while the other person was scribbling away. And then
only paper,
and it was
only pencil. And, only pencils were allowed
only
inside.
Only pencils were allowed, so you had actually no idea if the results were accurate or not. It was kind of hoping for the best.
Yeah, and well, if it wasn't clear enough, they failed to bring the very nice equipment for Evelyne. So she had to do the entire tour with two right shoes. So they don't expect people to visit there. They don't. But if you get the chance, do ask, because you will every time, even if it's only for you to get away from your desk, this will provide you with insights. All right. So we created this infographic not really for presentations for our clients, but more for the UX training that we provide within the organization. Our UX team at Inetum Realdolmen is rather small, but we feel that user experience or UX is everyone's responsibility. And we do our very best to constantly create UX awareness within the organization. And well, if you look at it if you step back and take a look at it, it's not really that weird because there are different methodologies and all methodologies are important in the project.
Previously, when there was UX in the offering, that position would be filled by one person. And we've heard that this practice is common for most consultancy firms working for enterprise UX. But once you go team of two, you never go back. So this is how we fine-tuned our team.
So we actually insist on doing workshops together. That way we both have all information firsthand and we really get the feel of how things work at the client. And we get to know a little bit the company culture at the clients. And well, it works best if one of us is taking notes, but and the other one is standing at the whiteboard and doing the wireframing part. And we'll switch roles from time to time. And well, it works best if you don't need, you keep the momentum of the workshop high. So if one person is drawing, he tends to have the back to the people. And so the other person is then involved more into observing and getting
the non-verbal
communication and picking up, seeing what's going on there. And well, it could feel a little bit like you're a performer in front of an audience, but it's really helpful if someone else is present there and capturing all the information.
Also, like always, coffee machine breaks during the workshops are invaluable. We try to stand in the different groups and try to hear what's going on. People mostly are saying the really important stuff in these informal conversations, or just saying stuff behind their boss's back, or saying like, oh, you work like this, oh, I do it this way. And this information is actually what we need to understand them. Workshop is also where our different backgrounds play out really well. So Hendrik is a really clear view of the analytical part, and he's a master in working out the complex business processes with the group, or telling them like, yeah, but you don't have things figured out yet, we need to take a step back. While I keep the technical aspects in mind, I'm making sure that we're not promising any rainbows or unicorns or stuff that will take us millions and millions of dollars to realize.
Because that could happen. Well, I think here that the main important thing is here that we, as this UX team of two, we are able to switch roles. Where we are there within the role as UX consultants, we are able to switch back to the previous roles that we had. Like the important thing, well, like Evelyne mentioned, is that we start with everyone present in the workshop on the same page. So we have the same understanding of the business processes. And if that fails to be true, then we need to take a step back and do this business process first. And that also is true for any technical question that might be asked, because you will lose that momentum if you need to interrupt your workshop and say, oh, well, for that specific thing you're asking, well, maybe we should involve a technical person here just to find out if something is feasible or not. What else we have? Well, the car ride home. So this is actually a moment, and most of the time it takes at least an hour, and that's where we reflect on what happened during the workshop, and we get to summarize our findings and maybe also our feelings a little bit about it, and because then it's still very fresh. And afterwards, the post-processing is actually done only by one of us, but we reflect on it during a meeting afterwards.
Then we start drawing the wireframes, and drawing wireframes now together is awesome. in this day and age, remotely as well. It's like, how great is it to see each other cursor move and draw stuff and move some stuff on your artboards of Adobe XD. Yes, we have not been converted.
Yet.
So with a blank canvas, one of us will then take the lead and lay out a starting point. At a regular interval, we will meet up and discuss it, check in with each other, give feedback, because we've both been there, but one person is kind of immersed in his design details, but the other one still has the opinions and knows the needs of the users and can put this on the first spot. It's kind of like we have an extra agile iteration loop there. And we have this UX reviews there, so we can fine-tune this design as we go in the beginning.
Important part here is also that we have to mention that we can do multiple projects at the same time this way. And like Evelyne said, we benefit a little bit from the cross-pollination actually, and also benefit from the experience that we have gained somewhere else. Well, I'm already running a little bit over time, so here's the thing that's well, maybe very important for us.
That is maybe a little bit our sales pitch.
Yeah. Well, fact is that for these enterprise apps, complexity is high, and most of the time there's a limited budget for user experience or user experience design. And well, actually there was a time when the client just said, well, you're the experts, just make it work, you know how this goes. And well, that's the presumptuous part that we talked about earlier. But the answer to this, because of the limited budget, is doing multiple projects simultaneously. And doing these multiple projects simultaneously seem to work better when you're working with two. How maybe it sounds like a bit of a contradiction, but we'll try to explain why.
So to sum up the benefits of our team of two, start off, the client and the project wins. We have this complementary skill set that really helps. This observation that is twofold right now. You work more efficient in workshops, you get the information with you, everyone remembers a different part of it. There's more continuity, and we can work faster by dividing up tasks like communication to the teams, development teams, and at the same time handling new incoming questions.
So our project team benefits from it regarding, well, consistency. We know how to talk with everyone involved in the project. We understand their worries. We focus on what they need. We understand, well, the impact of choices because of our backgrounds. We can see to it that when there's an impact, that those choices get communicated well.
I think our UX team of two wins a lot. We can bounce off ideas at any time, at almost any hour. We can fall in for each other, which really helps. You have the shared responsibility. You're undertaking different projects in simultaneously, and that can be kind of frantic and overwhelming, and sharing this helps a lot. You get this reality check, which I talked about with this expert validation. And basically, it is more fun. It is better for our own mental being.
Yes. So the last party involved here is the company that we work for. It's in this case it's Inetum Realdolmen, and well, we have, by doing this multiple projects at the same time, we have also the possibility to work on the offerings, which then turns out that we have multiple projects running in the future, but also it makes sure that the current projects keep evolving rapidly enough, because we can move at the pace of the client, and because we are working with two persons on it together, if there is a client working at a higher pace, well, then we work on it together. And if there is a client, we literally have clients that, I'm going to say a client, that, well, it contacts us only for specific UX challenges. And we go on location to fix these challenges. And it happens like 3-4 times a year. And then it's for, well, maybe 30 or 40 hours, but that's it. And after that, it's then done. So those are kind of assignments that you can take in between. All right. Nearly there. We have like, okay, one slide left. Are we still good? Still good? All right, very well. So the last thing that we wanted to share with you is how to create your own team of two, because we really believe that it holds advantages. And well, we're going to be very honest. It actually took us several projects before we realized that this way of working was something that we could try to reproduce and maybe even cultivate. So we don't really know if two is better than one, but you can create conditions where it's highly effective. And well, because we try to analyze it at a certain moment, and here are the things that we think that are easier to achieve in this team of two, and the things that may be harder to achieve on the easy part.
We want to start with the cultivation of a co-creation culture. And to say it really cheesy, you want design superheroes and no design super egos. So to closely work together, to share Adobe XD or Figma files, you need to have an open and equality between the team members. When you're experienced, just take someone under your wing. When it turns out they cannot even draw a straight line on a whiteboard, still believe in that person for her other skills.
Yes.
It was at that whiteboard at the client, it became hysterically clear that I could only reach the bottom half of the whiteboard.
Well, so we try to design at the same time, and that's what actually Evelyne means, as equals at the board. So it may have started out maybe a little bit different, but currently we are equals in this UX team of two, and I think that's an important part here. So when doing wireframing, and not all lines will be perfect, but it's like Evelyne said, it will be compensated by a complementary skill set. Sorry. So when we say complementary skill set, I actually mean that we can put people together with a different focus. So evolving from different fields of expertise, but it happens when it's explicitly highly effective when they are drawn to user experience design. So one person will be better at wireframing, the other will be better at interviewing, and these are these complementary skills that make this team effective.
Also go for diversity when putting together a team. Look at people who have different experiences, professional backgrounds, experiences at different clients, sectors in the company, which you can take some baggage with you and use it there.
Now, the other thing that we wanted to say is that if your team is organically grown, it could be that you already have something like this, and that when you have something like this, it may be somewhat more difficult to trying to reproduce this. And that's something that we encountered, and we take this one step at a time when we try to introduce this with different UX consultants that we have. Yeah, that's for you.
I can be very short about the next point. We have a decentralized structure for UX consultants in our company. We're still positioned in different units. Hendrik is still at the product manager unit. I'm still in the Java competence center, which gives us insight in what is happening in those worlds right now, what is possible, and just keeps me a little bit closer to those frustrating database migrations, but also to fun things like the Copilot.
Yes, and it's a little bit weird because we have a DXP, and that's a digital experience platform team where there are only UX consultants in, or most of them are UX consultants, but we have chosen, and it's maybe a bit historical background within the organization, but we have chosen to stay at the units where we originated from. So maybe short about the other thing. We have the lateral thinking and the combination of divergent and convergent thinking. That's maybe where the age gap that we have comes a little bit into place, where the divergent thinking or horizontal thinking focuses more on solving questions with ideas, whereas the convergent thinking or analytical thinking tries to find answers from previously gained expertise or logic.
Also, diversity is on the hard part, where we look at it demographically. Diversity, it's a different age, different gender, different background, different personal experiences, different focus. For example, Hendrik is married with 3 kids. I just moved in with my boyfriend last year with 2 cats. That covers already a whole different way of thinking.
So all these things don't take one thing into account, and that's the important part, and that's get a connection and become partners in crime. Yes, here we go, last slide, yes. So,
we just want to end with a few points, like find your strength, cultivate your personal expertise, focus, but also go broad. It's a good idea to look at your own angle, but maybe have a secondary focus in UX. Look at your neighbors on that line. It's also Smashing Conf was an amazing experience because they still keep on combining the web with UI, UX, and to have this whole spectrum to understand each one there.
Mm-hmm. And really, like, learn from each other. UXD is actually more a craft rather than something that you would study in an isolated environment. All right. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I loved all the personal anecdotes in there as well. I really appreciate that. It was nice to see
if you have time later
world.
on.
I will. We'll move questions to during the next break or the networking period. But I wanted to give you your badges because it's not easy to get up in front of this crowd, especially with this online crowd as well, and give a talk. And so we always give a badge. And sorry, Rob, I have one for you as well. Yes. Come on up and redeem. You can add it to your old Scouts uniform. Nice. The professional division. Yeah, thanks so much for being with us tonight. I just have a couple quick announcements before we wrap up, and that is mainly the next events. And I'm literally opening my notes app because there's a lot of information to give. Okay, so the next event is we have our UX Brussels chapter on the 14th of November. That's also a Tuesday, just the second Tuesday. They'll be at IO Digital at their campus in Brussels. And there'll be a couple great talks there, including one from Ariad about the state of UX in the market right now, which I think will be really interesting. And also Ray, who's here. No, he's not. Oh, he left. Okay, never mind. He'll be talking to you, but. The next UX Spears in Antwerp will be on the 28th of November at November 5. That's just around the corner here. But in between those, we have a very cool workshop coming up. And Mark, since you're here, maybe you can also just give a quick 1-minute plug on that, because I don't know if I can pronounce epiphany. Epiphany?
Correction, you did it.
Okay, I just said it correctly. But quickly say what your workshop is going to be about, because it sounds very cool.
Well, I wasn't ready for this, so that should be good. No, I like it. I'm doing a workshop. It's one that I've used before, but this one's free, so that's always good. And what it is gives you a quick insight into a couple of techniques you may or may not have heard of, like clean language, which is amazing. You can go deep, very deep in 10 minutes. And then we're going to basically look at issues that we've got around the issue of being stuck, and then we're going to act it out. It's the missing link in design that everyone uses in architecture, but if you want to know more, because I'm going to wrap it up into this short thing, I wasn't ready, come along. What have you got to lose?
Thanks for giving that intro. It should be a very cool workshop. There's only 12 spots available, and this is the first time that we're announcing it because you showed up tonight. So check out the meetup page. All the details are there. It's free, and thank you. Registration opens on November 8th at noon. You know, it's a very exclusive workshop, so be ready. But we'll post about it on Slack, so we'll give you some notifications. All right, thank you for joining us tonight. Please enjoy another drink and meet your neighbor, and we'll see you at the next event. Cheers.